Do people actually read these? Yes. Yes, they do. Good afternoon, Internet. This is CK, your Crimson Knight and wonderful host, making a short video about something I've already made in Minecraft. I had a couple of people ask about maybe doing a walkthrough to show how I built it, and what I built was Beacon Academy from the cartoon series RWBY from Rooster Teeth. If you've seen the short video with the music background, you've probably seen the layout, but I'm going to take a quick walkthrough, give you some close-ups onto how I built everything. It's pretty simple for the most part, just a lot of decorative touches and basic ideas, trying to match up what the show has, starting with the landing pads, the 3 up front, that overhang the cliffs. The cliffs do have a walkway down to a boat launch, which is not to scale. In the cartoon series, it shows large ships coming in. Mine would basically hold a rowboat. But let's go ahead and start from down here and move our way up. You'll notice I'm moving a little quickly because I'm in creative mode and I'm flying just over the level, just so you don't have to hear all the footsteps and stuff. And so we can come up and keep coming up because it's a long way to the top. And I'll show you all that in a second. I've got a little bit of a cold, so I sound even worse than normal. I'm going to apologize for that. So if I sound a little nasally, that's usually how I sound, but it's a little bit worse now. So all this is just a circular platform with a smaller one underneath it, and then a drop down to another circular ring, essentially, and just some support structures to make it look kind of neat. Whoop. I repeated the same size on all 3, but since they were all different layers, you know, this one comes up and connects to the stairwell. This one is just up to the ground because all this ground that you see here was already here. The ground off to the side, like this stuff, I made that. And I still have to go back through and make it look a bit more natural because I want to kind of build it out and make it connect to the ground here. And then I just have this wall that I need to do something with. But going up from the top, if we're going to go, and we'll start from the middle one. You can see you've got the start of the buildings. And my main goal in making this was 2 things. First, when you come and look at the front of the buildings, does it look like Beacon Academy? And from here it does. Now there are some other spires and some other buildings that I didn't put in because I couldn't get it to scale to where, you know, if I put there's one cone-shaped building that goes in the front next to where that dome building is on the left. If I put that there, I'd have to move everything back even further, and because of the draw distance of the game, you wouldn't see things like, you know, how Osmonds Tower, if I back up, it's going out of view, and I didn't want that to happen with a lot of the buildings, so I took some of them out. Get the more important buildings in that kind of define the shape of the place. So as we come down here, of course we have the walkways going down to the water. Kind of a basic layout of lanterns coming down the walkway. I try to space these out pretty evenly. I think I used a little too many, and I might go back and change that later. Because I even had quite a few more on this side where these blocks are, and I took them off. But I kind of liked it. Kind of didn't. I wasn't sure which way to go. And these are the L-shaped bricks next to just the regular brick pattern ones. This is all vanilla Minecraft, so there's no extra stuff that I've added. Kind of made it a little bit more difficult. Oh, and if you'll notice here, you see I have all the lights underneath the water. The only reason why I did that is because I have the weather turned off right now. If I didn't, this whole area would be covered in snow, and that would all be ice, and it would freeze and be solid, and I wouldn't have this waterfall. So I'm keeping all that lit up so that the water doesn't freeze. And the same thing is true as you come in here. I mean, it does make it look pretty nice that it's all lit up and everything, especially at night. But all these lightings that are under here are just here so that the water doesn't freeze. That's the main purpose of them. Hopefully I'm not moving around too much or too fast for you guys, just to kind of slow down a little bit. Made most of the walkways in gray brick, most of the buildings in the white, either the quartz or the iron. And I like the quartz a little bit better. I've used the iron on some other stuff. I think I used the iron on my Voltron build, if you haven't seen that one. I can't remember, it's been a while. But we've got the central area here, the statue of the... This is not the right statue, by the way. If I were to try to build that statue, it'd be as big as this building before it looked right. And I didn't want to do that. So I just put this here instead. Just something there to make it look like a statue goes there. Excuse me. And then we go into this main building here, which in the show, I don't think anyone actually goes in this building, so I have no idea what's in here, so it's empty. I just kind of decorated it a little bit. Had some plans for it, but not a lot. And I do have to go back and make some touch-ups to it, but essentially most of the buildings that are here are empty shells, because in the show you don't really see what's in a lot of them. I don't know which building is a classroom, which building is the library, which building is, you know, the dorms, which one is what. So I kind of had to guess. There are certain ones that I do know. I mean, I know which ones the dorms are. I know Osmonds Tower, and I know the training area, because that's the one that doesn't have the roof on it. It just has those spires. It's that one right there. And we'll go take a look at that in a second. But again, I wanted to make it to scale where you could actually walk around the college. There's a couple more areas that I do need to build out. I built out a little bit this way. If you remember the first couple of episodes when they got shot into the forest and had to fend for themselves to make their teams, here's the little launch pad that shoots them out into the forest, and I need to put a few more trees in there. But just stuff like that is kind of where I'm at. Building out the land so it's not just a big square block lifted up in the air. Putting in some decorations and trees and things. A couple of buildings. There's one on this side, one on that side that match. I'm just assuming they're administration buildings because I don't know what's in them. In the center here, this nice little building that seems not to fit is actually the cafeteria. And we do see that one in the show where they have the giant food fight. So I kind of knew what it looked like on the inside. I knew it was just a big long hall with tables and chairs and stuff. And I think somewhere in the middle there's supposed to be like a divider, but I didn't put it in. Kind of running out of space. I could take these doors out and like put it here, but maybe move the doors down to the end, but it's done already and it looks pretty cool. And of course there's an outside walkway. You know, there's a scene where Sun Wukong is walking by trying to say how interesting the people are. I think it was season 2 if I remember. And they're having the food fight inside and everybody's getting smacked up against the windows and stuff. So I had to make sure I put that walkway around here, which turned out pretty nice. Again, just L-shaped blocks and more L-shapes for the framework and decorative pieces, and you know, nothing too terribly advanced, just time consuming. And then over here we've got the training room, or the training hallway, or training, I guess, classroom, which does have an open top, does have seating up and along the top. Oh, I need to fix those chairs. And then down the bottom, this is the one This is the room where everybody comes to at the beginning of the show, where Osmond does his speech and everybody's sitting in here. This is where it is. A little podium for him to make his speech. And then off to the side, which I haven't completed yet, this area back here, once it's lit up, I'm intending that to be the changing area, the locker rooms. I'm going to put some of those in there. But I haven't done it yet, so it's just hollow right now. This is probably one of my favorite buildings because it turned out a lot better than I expected it to, especially the top part. Because I was really worried that this would look very awkward. But with the rings the way they were, and the pattern that I did, which is just, it's another L block and an upside down L block and just straight down. And it turned out really well, especially from a distance. It looks really nice. But again, it's one of those things, when you're playing, you can be here and you can be in the room, and that's what I wanted. This is on peaceful mode, so I don't have to worry about any creatures coming around. The animals will spawn in, but there's no zombies, no other monsters that could ruin things. I wanted to keep it decorative. I know there was a big spire building here that I put in. Don't know what it's for. It's empty on the inside. I feel like I'm a magician revealing his tricks. Look at how amazing this looks, and then when you go inside, there's nothing. And it's mainly just because I haven't gotten to it yet. This took me about, I want to say about 60 hours to build what you see here. So going back through and decorating one building after another, after another, after another, I kind of got to the point where I was a little burned out and said I'll come back to that later. And then of course back around here, really didn't know what was back here. If you look at the show, there's a lot of scenes, like there's a scene where Blake is running across the rooftops and you look off in the distance and you can see a town and some other square buildings. But I don't know which direction she was running from. I don't know if it's this set of buildings, that set of buildings, whatever. So I just tried to guess as to what would that look like. Well, she'd be running across here, and she'd be looking over there, and there's Osmonds Tower, and there's stuff in the background, so that's what I have. And then, of course, this would be the dorm rooms. And I know I'm making a lot of references to the show. I hope you watch the show, because otherwise you wouldn't know what any of this stuff is for. But here's the dorm where Jean and Pyrrha met on the roof, talked about training. She tried to get him to know that she was falling for him, and he was a dummy and didn't realize it. But this dorm is actually laid out on the inside. The other ones are not. They're just, again, big empty buildings. But really just sort of standard dormish. I got one little open room, which I'm going to probably turn into the kitchen area, so Nora can make her pancakes. And then I have just individual rooms, which some of them, like this one, are small, and then most of the other ones are about this size. Trying to keep this in the scale of the show was very weird, because like some of the rooms seem to be bigger than what they are. It's like, you know, Team RWBY has a bedroom where there's one window in the middle, and then they have bunk beds on one side, bunk beds on the other side, you know, a couple of desks, a bathroom, and other stuff. And I'm like, I can't build all that to scale here, but I can do a generic room. So that's what these all are, just generic rooms. And of course, little exits on the side so that people can get out in case of emergencies. A walkway going around the back. I don't have any trees on this side as of yet, so it makes it look a little bit more fake. And again, another unfinished building. I don't have all the windows in yet. Don't have anything on the inside as of yet. But from the outside, it looks pretty nice. And that's how I built everything. In fact, you know what? I'll show you here. I think this one still has it. Actually, you know what? I should start back here, because up front where the landing platform is, that was all land that was already here. And when I started building everything, I built it there, and then I realized I needed to expand out further. So everything that you see on this flat wall, there's nothing underneath it. This is just a big box, essentially, that I built. In fact, you can kind of get a better idea. Yeah, you can see, like, there's land off in the distance, and if I go far enough this way, you'll see that there's land at the end, but everything under here is fake. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I was able to pattern everything. So if we go in here, you can see when I put the land in, I put a pattern. So I know, you know, I'm going to put a wall down here and over here and up here and build it up, and that's going to be one room. And then I'm going to put a floor, and I'm going to repeat that pattern. I'm going to repeat it and repeat it until we get up to the top. And that's how I built just about everything. In fact, if we come over to this building, I think this was another one. And I'm assuming this is the main classroom area. They seem to have fairly round buildings. But you can see again, this is lower than the rest because eventually there's going to be a floor here. But you can see all I did was I built out a big circle, rounded it off, make it a little bit more of an oblong like it is in the show, and then just built my way up. And eventually I'm going to build, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I want to have the circular classroom, so I might build like one here, come in, build one here, and so on. And then just building the walls, I just built up to a layer I was comfortable with, tried to make it fairly even. You know, like this roof starts where this gray area starts, and built up more and built up more and built up more until I had something neat, something close to the show. And again, same thing with this one. I just made the circle and built it up. Actually, this one I did the other way around. That's right, I forgot about that. I actually just built one long pole and kind of built my way down because I knew this just looked like a giant spire. Like, all you really saw was that top part. So I built it up and I said, okay, I'm going to extend it out here. How does that look? And I'd run all the way back here. And I'd be like, oh, nope, that's too tall. I gotta come back and I gotta shorten it and lower it down and back and forth until I finally got, oh, that looks good. That looks like the right kind of scale. And then I just sort of built my way downward on this one until I got to about here. And then I realized, okay, I want it to be so big around, and then I started building from the bottom up to the top. Now the last part will be Osmonds Tower. That one, that has the most references of the show. That's why I was able to do these 4 little square areas all the same way, because these are around his tower. I don't think they're quite as low as I've made them, but I like the fact that they have to drop down and come in. One of the things about his tower is that it's much smaller here than it is in the show, and again, that's just an issue with scale. Because the communications tower, when you come into it, in the show it's much bigger than what I've got here. But because I'd already built the other stuff, I had to keep it to scale to where it would fit in and not be this gigantic thing in the middle. So I had to make it a little smaller and just kind of do something like that. And yes, there will eventually be a way down to the secret area. And then up here, of course, there's the secondary communications room where RWBY fought Cinder. And all the way up. And get up there. And there's not a whole lot else that we know about in the tower other than the communications room and Osmond's office. So that's all I built. So this is just tower and nothing. And we'll get up to the top here. And whoop. due to space, I had to kind of make things work a little bit differently. So I had to put Osmonds Tower separate from the clock and the stuff that you see in the show. So here's his office, and just go up to the top, and here's the actual tower with the lights and things, and you can see it's still a tall tower and it's still a long way out, but so that's what I did. That's how I made it. Give you an overhead shot so you kind of see an idea of the map that I ended up building. Let me see if I can square myself up here. That's close enough. But yeah, this is my beacon academy. Not drawn to scale, not drawn according to show, just as close as I could get. And I think it turned out pretty well. And there's still a lot more work I have to do to it. You know, especially if you look to the left over there, you can see where I expanded out all the land, and it looks so much better than just the square block on the right. So stuff like that I still need to do, but I mean, as far as the show goes, I think this turned out pretty well. Turn back around here. Ooh. So thanks for checking out the video. If you get any ideas from this for RWBY, or really for anything else, if there's just a design idea that you like and you're going to steal it for your stuff, go ahead, enjoy it, have fun with it. Let me know if you do. But until next time, or until I build something big like this again in Minecraft, you folks have a good day, have a good night, and goodbye.